Besides, we're not due to get started for a while yet. Okay, now, why so uptight about book reviews?
I can give you 3 good reasons in one. Grades. My last grade, my next grade, and my grade average.
Your last grade?
C minus.
Your next grade?
Well, that's what has me worried.
Because?
Well, I did my time in the Navy. Now I'm doing my time in college. And college won't help me get a good job if I don't make good grades.
So?
So, when you said you were working on a show about book reviewing, I thought maybe my ship hadn't sunk yet.
Darwin, don't you think you're putting too much stock in grades? There's a lot more to learning than just grades.
Let me get my grades in shape, and then I'll worry about the finer points. Will you help me?
Okay, have you done any thinking about the purpose of book reviews?
Well, no offense, Cassie, but the theory and philosophy of book reviews just don't interest me. Well, what I have done is to write my review, and now I need your expert opinion.
Oh, whoa. I am just an intern here, and I'm just doing this outline for Norm. See, he's in Washington receiving an award, and I inherited the preparation work.
Inherited?
Mm-hmm. See, Norm never turns anything over to anybody. He just sort of hands it down.
Sounds like the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
You want to hear this?
Sure. I'm all ears.
Yeah. Our National Science by Dr. John Weber is a book about politics and the author's attempt to find methods for making politics more of a science. In Chapter 1 of this 6-chapter volume, Dr. Weber defines the object of traditional scientists. In Chapter 2, he argues that political experts, like scientists, must be able to forecast future events. Chapter 3 is about known patterns of human behavior borrowed from psychology. Chapter 4 deals with...
Hold on a minute, hold on. Let me take a look at it. That's what I was afraid of. See, Darwin, let's see. What you've done here is you've written a book report and not a review.
Report? Review? What difference does it make? The point is it an A report?
Well, no, that's not the point. See, the point is you were assigned one thing, but you did another.
Okay. So, what's the difference?
Well, a report. That's what you've done. A report is just the summary of the book's contents. Okay? Now, a review, that's what you were assigned. A review has to go further and show your analysis and opinions. And you have to support your viewpoint with specific details.
So, you think I need to do this again?
More importantly, I think you need to do it differently. Wait a minute. Look, I want to show you something here.
Oh, look, Cassie, I'm on my way to class.
Wait a minute. You asked me to help you, didn't you? Now, this will only take 30 seconds, and you need to see this before you begin another draft.
Well, okay. Since I'm here, I might as well.
Okay.
Very often in the early grades, students are asked to summarize what they read in a book. And that's a legitimate exercise in elementary and secondary schools because writing a summary isn't easy. On the college level, however, students have to go beyond summary. They have to look at what is said in the book and then think about it, ask questions about it, relate it to other ideas related to what they're studying in the course. The book review is one of the most important exercises for making these connections.
What I want to connect is my review to a big fat A. So I'll go beyond summary.
Well, now, this doesn't mean that you can't use some summary in your review, but that's not where it has to stop. A good rule of thumb is to limit your summary to about 1/3 of your review, and then use the other 2/3 for analysis.
Analysis? Oh, that's easy for you to
Well,
say.
it's not that difficult. Just look at the relationships Dr. Mayman mentioned. Ask critical questions as you read.
Oh, I don't know. That sounds pretty cocky. I mean, who am I to be questioning a published writer's work?
Believe me, I can understand exactly how you feel, but you're just going to have to get over it.
It's easy to say, hard to do.
But look at what you can do. Okay? You can decide if the book's purpose is meaningful to you and whether or not the author accomplishes that purpose to your satisfaction.
Oh, maybe. I might have to do it later. I'm late. Gotta go. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Hi, Darwin, isn't it? Yeah, you're
Gwen?
Cassie's friend. What brings you here?
Oh, I just stopped by to say hi on the way to class. I'm late. Gotta go.
Okay, bye.
What is that?
Oh, it's the Color Coordinated Diet by Mr. Whitewall. It may be the last copy in town. Everybody's sold out.
The what?
It's the latest diet by the Hollywood fashion designer. His models all swear by it.
The Color Coordinated Diet. What will they think of it?
Hi, everybody. I just finished the... Jenny, are you going to do that diet, too? You know, I've been looking all over town for a copy of this.
No way, thank you. It's Gwen's book.
Oh, okay. Hey, Gwen, could I borrow this when you finish with it?
Well, why don't you take it now? I'm so busy. I won't get to it till the weekend.
Thanks. Hey, this is great. You know, half of the stars in Hollywood swear by this.
Well, you know, if you like the color-coordinated diet, you will love my new book on brain surgery.
You wrote a book on... Okay, you're putting me on again.
Well, does Mr. Whitewall know any more about diets than I know about brain surgery? I'm really surprised at you, Fred. Do you really think a couple of soap opera stars giving rave reviews on a talk show is a way to pick a diet?
Hey, come on now, ease off. I just want to lose this spare tire. Besides, have you read the book?
Well, no.
Well, no. Well, I think I will read it before I make a final decision, okay?
Okay.
Hey, thanks, Gwen. See you guys later.
Bye, Fred. Cassie, how are you coming with the outline for the program on book reviews?
Oh, haven't done much yet. You know, I hate to admit this, but I miss Norm's advice more than I thought I would.
Have you decided what authorities to use in the program yet?
Well, in a way I have. I was going to look at the rest of this interview with Dr. Elaine Mayman.
Book review is an important assignment because it links writing and reading. When you write a book review, you are showing that you can read critically. Now, reading critically doesn't mean trying to find faults in the book. Too many people hear the word critical. They think that's what it means. Reading critically means asking questions about what you read. Reading something, thinking about how it relates to other things you know, how it relates to other things you're studying in other courses, so that when a student writes a book review, a student has a chance to show that kind of questioning reading of a text. A student has a chance to engage with the text.
So do you think the key to writing a good book review is asking critical questions?
Yes. Now, the way I understand it, writing a good book review means thinking critically about a book. And thinking critically means asking questions.
And all of that is done in a kind of personal dialogue. Reading a text, asking questions, and arriving at a thoughtful answer.
Now, that's what I was trying to get Darwin to do. See, he needs help with a book review, but he's missing some of the most important skills because he's so sure there's only one reason to write it.
One reason?
A grade.
Yes, He's so eager to get it done and get a grade, he's not asking any questions, just wanting answers.
Well, let's make sure our program specifies the sort of questions a student or anyone else should ask about a book.
Okay, but now I'm going to need some help here. What kinds of questions?
What are the author's purposes in writing the book?
Okay.
What are the parts of the book?
The parts?
How does an author divide his material into sections or chapters?
Okay, and then does each part accomplish its purpose?
And do all of the parts together accomplish the overall purpose?
Okay, now, asking these kinds of questions can be helpful, but according to Dr. Mayman, there's a little bit more to it than asking questions. Gwen, will you look at the rest of this tape with me?
Okay.
See, she doesn't want students to assume that because questioning is a good way to think, that there are pat answers. Let me show you.
Students often assume that there's a right and wrong answer to everything. On the kind of paper that you're describing, there is not a right or wrong answer. What instructors are looking for are ways to think things through. They're looking for the thought process, for the kind of evidence that the student is presenting. Another thing that students don't realize is that the rules of evidence are different from discipline to discipline. And in fact, one of the most important things they're learning in any particular subject area that they're taking, history, sociology, political science, is what the rules of evidence are for that discipline, how they should go about arguing a point in a political science context or in a historical context.
Well, her emphasis on the process of writing rather than dashing off the finished product is very important.
I just wish I could make that point with Darwin. He still thinks book reviews are just busy work invented by teachers to keep students busy.
Have you shown him the taped interview of professors talking about book reviews and why they're so important?
I didn't know we had a tape like that. Norm never mentioned it to me.
He mentioned it to me. Jenny, do you have the tape of professors talking about book reviews?
Yeah, got it right here.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Well, I really have one basic objective when I assign a book review for the students, and that is to realize that each work of nonfiction, and as a historian I usually assign nonfiction to be reviewed, that each work of nonfiction has a point of view, a thesis. I think most students are willing to accept the written word as truth, and I would like them to find out that this is not the case. Simply by reviewing a work of nonfiction, they have to consult other works bearing on the same topic, and they find different views, different points of view on the same issue. And lo and behold, conflict arises, and they have to resolve this. And by reviewing the book, they are forced to make judgments on their own internally. Does this book present evidence in a valid way? Do conclusions flow from the evidence? Are there non sequiturs, and so on? And so the ultimate objective really is to permit the student to discover for him or herself that these books, nonfiction books, in fact, have a point of view, have a thesis that one can argue with.
My field is philosophy, and perhaps because of being in that field, I would think that the important thing about education has to do more with people preparing themselves for a lifelong kind of learning experience, particularly in the context of an open democratic society. I think there's a responsibility, in a way, for us to think for ourselves. And that is to say, we shouldn't be in a position where all we ever do is simply put back what someone else has said. So for me, the value of a book review is to get people, for one thing, used to going out on their own and searching for material and reviewing that book. And by that I mean a critical review. First of all, they would have to understand what it is, the point that was being made, and then to look at that critically.
Book reviews are important. I think, again, it's another chance for students to express themselves in writing. It's also a chance for them to read something, to get the gist of it. That's what I emphasize with them, to get the main point of the book and then write about it, and then also to evaluate it. In other words, it involves reporting something that they have read, and secondly, evaluating it. And I always make the point, express your own opinion. They have to learn to back up their generalizations with concrete facts. You see, that's one of the things I try to emphasize. I say you can take any position you want, you can have any opinion you want, but try to prove it. Try to make it as concrete as you can.
Well said. Book reviews can be so effective.
Once a teacher, always a teacher, eh, Gwen?
Too bad Darwin doesn't share Gwen's point of view. Who's knocking? Oh, Darwin, you're back.
Yeah, sorry to bother you. I left my book review here yesterday.
Oh, I know. I found it right after you left. But I'm glad you're back because I also found this tape of teachers talking about why they assign book reviews. Now, I want you to see this because I think it's just the thing you need.
Well, the truth is I do have a few minutes, but what I'd really like for you to do
Oh, wait a minute.
is...
Now, see, I think you really need to see this because it's clips of teachers talking about the value of book reviews.
Well, I'll take your word for it, Cassie, but if I just want you to see what I wrote last night.
Okay. Take a look at it. Well, certainly different from your first draft. It's, you've definitely taken taking it a step beyond summary.
A step.
Darwin, read your third paragraph out loud.
Well, what for? I know it's there. I wrote it.
Well, I know you wrote it, but before I say more, I want to be sure you've heard it. See, that's an important way to check how your writing sounds to a reader or a teacher.
Oh, all right, all right. I think Dr. Weber's book is outstanding. It really held my interest and should keep the attention of any science major who has thought of politics as the least defined of all the social sciences. This book is excellent reading because it is well written. Better?
Well, you definitely stated your opinion. That's an improvement, but,
Well, out with it. Come on, what have I done now?
well, it's more of what you haven't done. This book is outstanding. It's pretty strong.
Well, what's wrong with that? I feel pretty strongly about it.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that, you haven't supported your opinion. You haven't given one good reason for all that praise. Why is the book so terrific?
Well, I guess a lot of my feelings had to do with being done with the assignment.
Darwin, you would not make sweeping statements about marine biology without supporting the facts, would you?
Oh, not on a bet. It's my major. And I know more about it. And it's important to cite the facts.
And?
All right, I admit it. An opinion's not enough. But, I mean, what could I do? How can I fix it?
Well, we're really talking about the importance of thinking critically and putting those thoughts down on paper, supported with evidence. Now, there are ways of gathering evidence before you even read the book.
Before I read the book? Oh, come on,
Wait a minute. Stay with me a second. They're called pre-reading techniques.
For instance?
Determining the author's audience, purpose, and occasion.
Well, what do I care about the author's purpose? It's my purpose I'm worried about.
Well, if your purpose is to analyze the book, then you should be concerned about what the author says he's trying to accomplish.
And I can find out all those things before I read the book?
No, by pre-reading. For instance, read the introduction. Now, that's where the author speaks directly to the reader and says what he intends to do.
Oh, okay. And audience?
Well, that's who the author is talking to. Think of what you know. Think of some books on marine biology. Now, aren't they talking to different types of readers?
Well, yeah. Some are written for professionals already in the field, and then again, some are written for people just getting interested in marine biology.
Exactly. Now, what about the occasion? Was your government book written for the bicentennial, or is it a collection of speeches from a major university?
Knowing all that would make a difference, wouldn't it? And if I define those three things,
Audience,
yeah.
purpose, and occasion.
Yeah. Now, if I define these three things, then I've analyzed the book?
Oh, not by a long shot. But at least you have a framework for looking at the book. See, analysis means breaking the book into parts and then deciding if the parts contribute to the author's purpose.
You mean I have to go through and evaluate all the chapters and see whether or not they succeed?
Yes and no. See, you can learn a lot about the chapters by pre-reading, but you're looking for the ideas, the thinking, the promises.
How? I mean, should I jot that kind of stuff down in the margins?
Maybe, but it would be better if you'd write them down on your own paper, outside the book, so that you could order your own thinking.
Well, why wouldn't I just follow the same order as the author?
Well, because you have a different audience, purpose, and occasion. You want to analyze a book.
Oh, correction. I want to make an A.
See, Darwin, you're writing to the professor. But see, now, if you would write so that your fellow classmates could understand, then you would have a pretty good focus.
And the occasion is a class assignment.
Bravo! I think you've got it.
All I've got's a headache that won't go away. Look, I'll promise to think about this stuff one more time, but over a tall glass of water and 3 aspirin.
Oh. Good morning, Jenny.
Good morning, Jenny.
Good morning. Hello. Bye-bye.
Bye.
How's your outline coming?
Got a lot of possibilities, a lot of ideas, but nothing concrete on paper yet.
Cassie, don't take this wrong, and I don't want to sound like Norm, but you've been spending a lot of time and energy on Darwin, and he is only one person, and you do have an outline to prepare.
I'm not offended, Jenny, but I think you're wrong. See, I may not know everything about this topic, but I am in a position to help Darwin, and I have done this on my own time. And there is another thing, though, see. Darwin's problems are exactly like the problems of many of our students. And if my outline and Norm's script can help just one student, such as Darwin, then the time and energy would not have been wasted at all.
But believe me, that one is not the funniest. This guy has got one meal that he calls the new bride's breakfast, right? That's because everything on it is white. He's got his yogurt, cauliflower, a lump of sugar, and a glass of milk.
Oh, Astounding. What are you talking about?
The color-coordinated diet. I read a couple of chapters of this last night, Gwen, and it is undoubtedly one of the worst books I've ever seen.
Why do you say that?
Well, for one thing, this is a diet book, right? He never mentions either calories or exercise. I mean, Mr. Whitewall's whole theory seems to be that it's easier to push your plate away if everything on it is one shade of green.
Well, no question about that.
Yeah, well, most of what he says makes some kind of sense. That's if you're picking out a wardrobe to match your eyeshadow. But believe me, if you know anything at all about nutrition, when you buy this book, you're going to be sorry you spent your money on it.
Okay, you've convinced me. I'm not going to bother to read it. I think I'll pass it on to Norm.
Good idea. Hey, I think I'll have a cup of coffee.
Not for me, thanks.
How are you coming along with your outline, Cassie?
Oh, I think it's finished. But we need to re-emphasize the point that there is no one right way to review a book. But there is one major problem that most students have, which is
Just
that they...
summarizing contents without really thinking about them. Without analyzing, evaluating, questioning, without being a critical reader and making recommendations based on solid thought.
Sorry to disturb.
Oh, you're not disturbing us. How's your book review coming along?
Well, it's still a struggle as far as I'm concerned, but I brought my third try by for Cassie to hear.
Oh, that's all right, Cassie. Here, excuse me.
Well, we are technically still at lunch, and I do have a few minutes. Besides, working with you taught me a couple of things, too.
Oh, good. I don't feel so bad yet. You've helped me a lot with this, Cassie, and I do appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, let's hear it.
Okay, now this time I've tried to support my opinion. Now, there are parts in the middle that still need polishing, but I want you to hear my introduction and part of my paper. Dr. John Weber is not the first writer to yearn in print for a science of group behavior. But his book, Our National Science, is more than just wishful thinking. In 6 detailed chapters and 300 pages, Weber defines the principles required of political studies to allow for more reasonable forecasting. The surprising result of this individual effort is that he very nearly succeeds where others have failed. Okay, now that gets us up to the part of my paper where I compared the author's stated aims with what he's really been able to achieve. Okay, now, all the way through, I've stated my own opinion of the book, and I've tried to back it up with examples from the book.
Such as?
Okay, now, let me see. All right. Weber's claim that there should be a bridge between the art and science of political forecasting is valid, up to a point. He says in Chapter 4 that political power is exercised according to certain rules, both formal and informal. Greater studies of those rules will allow a more scientific study of politics, he contends. What about the unpredictable events, the surfacing of new causes and social movements? Weber pays too little attention to these variables.
Well, that is a big improvement. Shows a lot of thinking and questioning, and my guess is you've made some good notes to work from.
Oh, yeah, a whole stack of index cards.
Okay. What do you think about this draft?
Well, I wouldn't want to do it again anytime soon, but you know, it feels good to be able to write down my own opinion of something.
Your informed opinion.
Yeah. You think this will make a good grade?
It's an improvement, but one more draft and then you'll be ready to type.
One more draft? Oh, no, Cassie, not another one. I mean, I'm sure I made all my points this time.
Well, you might have made them, but you'll make them better in another draft. And
Oh.
you'll get a better grade.
Well, I don't mean to argue with you, Cassie. You've helped me so much already, but what's to be gained by doing it again?
All writing is rewriting. Sorry, darling, we couldn't help overhearing.
All right, I'll give it another try. I won't like it, but, well, Cassie, I've come this far, and I do need that A. This thing's due tomorrow. I better get with it. Goodbye.
Bye, Darwin.
Can this be the same person who thought book reviews were just busy work? May I see your outline, Cassie?
It is right here.
Good, thank you.
You know, even Norm has to find that pretty practical. You know, the time I spent with Darwin really helped me see the natural lessons that a student has to go through to learn how to write a better book review. I'll get it.
Oh,
I'll get
thanks.
You know, Gwen, this book reviewing, it seems to be more than just a skill for school.
How do you mean?
Well, even I have to evaluate books all the time. I mean, new art books, books on foster parenting.
Diet books.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, book reviewing seems to be a lifetime skill, like thinking. I mean, we all have to read stuff and decide whether or not we can use it.
What's wrong?
That was Norm. Just called to see how we were doing. And he has a 4-hour layover.
Oh, no.
Oh, not really. He is just as happy as he can be. He says he found a book in the airport. Must reading.
Oh, no, don't tell me.
The Color Coordinated Diet by Dr. White's.